Okay, what we're talking about for these 3 weeks, that's last week, this week, and next week, is Panamanian music and dance. And Panamanian Independence Day is coming up next week. So we'll be celebrating that at the Gilmore Center on Thursday. If you look at the schedule, from 10:30 to 11:30, we will be at the Gilmore Center celebrating Panamanian Independence Day. We celebrate Mexican Independence Day here in Killeen. We celebrate Guamanian Independence Day. We celebrate lots of Independence Day. Here's a picture from Killeen Daily Herald from last year, the program. So what we try to do is teach music and dance from that country and the culture, what we call the traditional dress, and so on. So we're going to start, last week we started with the Panamanian string instruments. If you go back over 100 years ago or more, the definition, let me go to the definition of folk. One of the definitions of folk music and dance is that which is over 50 years old. However, as we move forward, 50 years is not quite good enough. So now a lot of people are saying 100 years old. We're taking pictures. 100 years old, and so on. So the bottom line is you have to define what you're talking about. So basically, we usually start with, at least in the North America, Central America, and South America, pre-colonial, prior to the time that Columbus came here, prior to the time that the Spanish came and taught Central and South America how to speak Spanish. So prior to that, there was very little European influence here. So basically, yeah, let me show you. Prior to that, there's very little metal. Okay, so most of your folk instruments, drums, string instruments, and so on, were made out of wood, just like the violin is. Its pegs are wood. But as we move forward, most people now, even on a wood instrument, are putting the metal pegs. They're better, they hold better, and so on. But the bottom line is, it no longer is truly a folk type instrument. So let's get to the drums. Panamanian folk music has 3 drums, okay? So 2 of them look like this, and 1 will look like the other one when I show it to you. And you can see they're the goat skin or some type of skin stretched over here. It's made out of wood. It's made out of twine. There's no metal anywhere in it, and it's tuned with pounding in the wood. Okay, something like that there. So basically, that's the true folk type instrument. Okay, this is in the Panamanian conjunto, the group prior to instruments. Okay, as we said, the most common first instrument pre-colonial was a flute. Then and that was the soprano instrument. Then came the violin, the accordion, and so on as the Europeans started moving in. So in the Panamanian group, music group, the original one, they had 3 drums. Okay? 1 drum like this, the second one pretty much like that. They sit down and play it, put it between their legs, pretty much like a bongo or a congo now if they stand up and so on. This is the second classification of drums. This one is called caja, and they can stand up and play it, put it over their shoulder, their head like this here, and they can play it with sticks. Okay, so
what was the first one called?
one of them is called a pujador. The other one is replicada. And that one is called the caja, C-A-J-A. These are all in Spanish. And those three drums become the important sound in a lot of the Panamanian dances. I showed you all last week this book, Tambor de Alegria. It was written by Dr. Sorarte in Panama, way before I even got there in the 70s. He was way ahead of his time, in my opinion. He wrote a very good thesis and book on Panamanian culture, the dress. His wife did the book on the dress and the traditional dress, both men and women, and he wrote it on all the instruments and so on. So he's got in here the measurements, for example, of the drums, if they're made in one part of Panama or the other part, how high they are, how round they are, and so on. So it's the best reference on Panamanian folk music and dance, in my opinion, that there is. So, and that's the drum. So the drum is very important in the dances that we're going to do next week. We'll probably do the tamborito, which is the national dance of Panama, and the punto, which is one of the elegant, more classic dances of Panama. I studied all these down there at their Institut Nacional de Danza, and so on. So basically what I tried to do is bring that back. As we move forward, other instruments come into play. What I'm going to show you here is in the 70s, a musician in Panama, the first musician that took up the organ down there that became the lead was Lucho. So a lot of the Panamanians my age are aware that Lucho was the leading musician in Panama for years, playing an organ that was made probably in Illinois or Indiana. Then this gentleman was younger than Lucho, and he's still alive, at least he was last year. His name is Toby Menez, and he made a very popular record for dance. Okay, this is called La Balanda. And on the back here is a listing of all the songs. All of these songs are tamborito songs, which means tamboritos in the national dance of Panama. Okay? It's a type of music and it's a type of dance. So this is a medley of their folk songs. So I'm going to play it for you, some of it. What we've done is out of the 30 songs on here, we've taken out 7 or 8 of them and massaged them over 2 or 3 years. So it's much more acceptable to hear. This is a long play record. It lasts 20 minutes plus. It's good for dancing, Panamanian style, but in the United States, it's like our records usually last 3 minutes per track. So Panamanians are not here today, where you would see them probably get up and sing this. So anyway, I gave you there the words for it. Okay? This is the words for the songs that we'll be singing next week, all in Spanish. So anybody wants to learn in Spanish, it's a good way to learn Spanish. Here's the music for one of the songs on there, and again, one of the very popular songs, Tambor de Alegria. Okay? Drum of Happiness. And we've got a big note style as compared with what I gave you last week. Last week is the way it was published in Panama when I was down there in the 70s. So this is made for easy learning.
Okay.
Also what we've done with some of the young Panamanian kids that I'm working with, the children, is we've taken that music, because so far I have not found anybody in the United States willing to learn it, and probably can. It's pretty hard to learn music from Asia for America. Pretty hard for an American accordion player to play music from Panama. They can do it, but it takes a long time if you didn't grow up with it. So what we've done is taken that and put it into a computer, a MIDI format. And now, if you look on the web, on YouTube from last year, you'll see our party and the people singing this and dancing to it more or less. Okay? And it's being played by the computer. So What we're learning is electronic keyboard. We're not learning piano, I keep going that. So electronic keyboard, what we're doing today is zeroing in on the drum part. So first of all, listen to this, and again, listen the way I've taught you, okay? Listen and say, what is that instrument, okay? Who is that singing? Is that a lead singer? Is that a male singer? Is that a female singer? What key are they singing in? Pick out as much of that music as you can. A good ear-playing musician, that's what they do. They hear it and then they pick it up. Let's listen to the first few songs. They usually clap to it.
Allá en el camino real hay un hombre aparecido. Se parece a tu marido. Allá en el camino real hay un hombre aparecido. Ese hombre es un borracho perdido. Allá en el camino real hay un hombre aparecido.
Almost I can do a MIDI now. 127 instruments. That's when they're dancing around.
Panameño, 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 vida mía. No quiero que tú me lleves al tambor de la alegría. Yo quiero pasear en bote y también en esta vida.
What's that last instrument? Anybody? No, the last one. Try to pick out the instrument. So it's a saxophone. Or the like the trombone in there, there's a saxophone, and there's an organ in the background. So now, and the song we went over last week, Tambor de Alegria, we went over the signature of it, 2/4 time. That whole record is 2/4, so for the drummer, the hand drummer, it's relatively easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and, if you want to get more beats in, and so on, to the key of C. So we went over last week what the chords are. It's relatively easy to tell, because if you look at the music, it'll tell you there. It ends, the last note is C, therefore it's in the key of C. Therefore the last chord will be C, more than likely the first chord's going to be C. So then you have to look at a very short song. Well, they may play it for 20 minutes, but it's a very short song. So then you say to yourself, is that a 2-chord song or a 3-chord song? And they hardly even can get 3 chords in, so more than likely it's a 2-chord song. So right away you know what the chords are. C, number 1, G or G7, number 5. So you're going to go back and forth. So start with C, go to G7, back to C. Okay. Then the question comes up, where are you going to transition? Well, anywhere where you got a C, E, or G, and maybe a passing note, you're not going to transition. So wherever you see the D, F sharp A, or G's starting, you're gonna transition. So Erica, where would you transition? What measure?
4 or 5.
Somewhere in there, probably in 5. Okay. It looks like 4, it probably still close to the C. Okay. Or you could transition there. And that's all you have to do. And all the drummer and the ukulele player have to do is play 2 chords, right? Last week we showed you on the Meharana how to find a chord, how to make a chord chart. So on your ukulele, C is what?
G.
Show me. Just the 1 string, we went over that last year, just 1 finger on 1 string, the 3rd fret of string 1, and you've got a C chord. That means all those strings now are in C, E, or G. So all you have to do then is go back to find a G, the same way we found the C. So they all have to be G, B, D, okay, if you're going to use a G chord. So you've got to find a way to turn all those strings into a G, B, or D. Okay? That's your homework. Okay. Now, our class today, though, is keyboard. So you have to take all this knowledge now and put it on this computer, this keyboard you've got.